But we begin tonight with election coverage as Bernie Sanders is scheduled to speak tonight in Bakersfield. 17's Anna Grazia is live at the Kern County Fairgrounds where supporters are already filling the stands to see Sanders.
Hey, Kristen, we're live here in the grandstands, and as you can see, I am surrounded by Bernie Sanders supporters. We got out here to the fairgrounds around noon today, and there was a long line out to Ming Avenue waiting to hear the senator speak. I have Nick Soames with me right now, who came out to hear Bernie. Nick, what are you looking forward to hearing from the senator today?
I'm looking forward to hearing how the senator feels about environmental change. Obviously, the environment is important, and the changes affect my future and the futures of many others.
Were you expecting this big of a turnout? I mean, it's Kern County. Usually we're a pretty conservative community.
I'm pretty surprised, actually. A lot of people here are conservative, including many friends of mine, so it's great to see a big turnout for a guy like Senator Sanders.
Thank you so much, Nick. So let's take a look at that video from earlier today. Like many others here, we spoke to a volunteer coordinator who told us Kern County's stereotype of being conservative is no more, and she has no doubt tonight's rally will be packed as they anticipate Sanders to address comprehensive immigration reform and free higher education.
I think people see that he's authentic. He's absolutely authentic. He is not polished. He does not fake. He has consistently been on the right side of history. I mean, he was for LGBTQ rights before it was an in thing to be. And for me, that's everything that you need in a leader. You need a leader who can look at an issue and know what is the right decision to make, and then what the consequences and unintended consequences could be.
Polls, Bernie is trailing closely behind Clinton and recently said Clinton needs to be weary of his running mate pick. Now, yesterday, Republican candidate Donald Trump was in the Valley at a rally in Fresno. He recently announced he will not be debating Sanders as many had expected. So obviously, this rally is just getting started. At 5:30, the senator will be speaking in a closed meeting to the community officials, and the actual speech is set to start at 7. So we'll have more coverage of that speech coming up on 17 News at 11. Live from the Kern County Fairgrounds, Anna Grazia for 17 News. And Bernie Sanders supporters lined up around noon, even though the actual speech started around 7:30. Many told us they were excited to hear what he had to say about the Valley. Bernie Sanders pays Kern County a visit.
Thank you, Bakersfield.
About 4,000 Bernie supporters packed in the Fairgrounds arena. Feeling the burn with buttons, shirts, and signs, all in support of the senator.
All I see is Bernie, and I see all kinds of people supporting Bernie. It's the most diverse group of people are Bernie followers.
Before his speech, Sanders held a Q&A with local leaders.
And tonight I want to hear from you.
He covered an array of topics from the pressing issue of comprehensive immigration reform and the treatment of farm workers.
As one of the strongest pro-worker members of the United States Congress, we're going to fight to make sure that farm workers have decent wages and decent working conditions.
We spoke with the senator about his policy on officer-involved shootings.
If there is a police-related shooting, that should trigger an immediate investigation from the Department of Justice.
Sanders has a goal of getting face time with 200,000 voters by Election Day, 15 events in 7 days, drawing nearly 10,000 in Ventura, 7,200 in Vista, 6,000 more this morning in Santa Barbara.
And if we win here in California and do well in the other states that are up on June 7th, we're going to go into the convention with a lot of momentum, and I believe we can come out with the nomination.
With Hillary Clinton close in the polls, she's adding 8 stops in California this week and 3 in New Jersey next week. But she'll take this weekend off in Chappaqua. As for Bernie, he says he's not slowing down. Trump came up quite a few times during the speech. Sanders says he hopes Trump will reconsider a debate and follow through as planned. If you missed out, we have more coverage on our KGT Facebook page. In the newsroom, Anna Grazia, 17 News.
Well, all eyes are on the California primary in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. And Senator Bernie Sanders is here in Bakersfield hosting a rally at the Kern County Fairgrounds. That's where we find Eyewitness News reporter Lexi Hotelling with the very latest. Hey, Lexi, how's it going?
Senator Bernie Sanders is expected to speak at 7 tonight, so we still have a couple more hours. But as you can see, plenty of people are already filling in to hear Sanders speak in his message for Kern County. The Democratic presidential candidate was in Santa Barbara and Santa Maria earlier today and is making his last stop this evening right here in Bakersfield. Before the rally, Sanders is planning to meet with about 50 to 100 farm workers. And at the rally, Sanders is expected to touch on a wide range of issues, including getting big money out of politics, his plan to make public colleges and universities tuition free, combating climate change, and ensuring universal health care. Again, the rally isn't going to be starting till 7. We're going to have more coverage on this tonight at 6, 10, and 11. You can hear it's already getting loud in here. And that's it for now. I'm live in Bakersfield. Lexi Otelling, back to you.
Lexi, thank you. And of course, Sanders will be there courting the voters. Eyewitness News reporter Kyle Harvey spoke to lots of them this afternoon. He's learning what they're hoping to hear this evening, and he'll be covering that all night for us. Kyle is out there now, right now. We're going to go ahead and turn our attention to Kyle. Kyle, how's it going out there?
Well, maybe we spoke to a lot of folks as they were walking in. This is not a crowd that Sanders is going to have to convince of anything. They're completely sold out for. In fact, we spoke to a lot of folks that said this is the first political rally they've attended or been a part of, and really the first candidate they've been excited to vote for in a long time. We heard a lot of McGovern fans out here that are coming out for Sanders. Here's some of what those folks had to say.
Bernie Sanders is the first politician I've ever seen that I feel like I can genuinely trust.
I've looked into the other candidates. He's actually the first candidate ever since I was old enough to vote where I'm excited to vote for someone.
And I voted most of the time, but no, I didn't care about politics. I still wouldn't. I mean, if I didn't know about Bernie, I would just be, okay, Hillary, you know. But I just couldn't get motivated until now. Now I'm motivated. Not.
It's certainly a pretty diverse crowd as well. Lots of gray hair, and all the way down to folks that are in high school still looking forward to voting for their first presidential election. We'll have a lot more out here later on this evening. But for now, we're live at the Kern County Fairgrounds. Maybe let's take it back to you in the studio.
Kyle, thank you so much. Well, all eyes are on the California and the race for the Democratic presidential nomination, and candidate Bernie Sanders is here in Bakersfield hosting a rally at the Kern County Fairgrounds. Of course, Sanders will be there courting the voters. Eyewitness News reporter Kyle Harvey spoke to lots of them this afternoon, learning what they're hoping to hear this evening. Hey, Kyle, how's it going?
When we say he's here to court voters, most of the voters here do not need to be courted. They're completely sold out for Sanders. We talked to dozens of people as they were walking in, and a lot of folks say they have not been this excited about a candidate. They have not even attended a political rally, for some of them, in decades. What I'm told is that when Bernie Sanders gets into town sometime very soon, he's going to be meeting with a group of agriculture labor leaders to talk about some of the issues they're facing. And then it will be just about an hour before he begins to come out here and address this crowd. As you see, it's getting bigger by the hour. They started pouring in at just about 2 o'clock today, and just a little bit more than an hour. We'll have a lot more for you later on in tonight's shows. Eyewitness News at 10 and 11. But for now, we're live here at the Kern County Fairgrounds. I'm Kyle Harvey. Back to you in the studio, Mimi.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. And like Kyle said, Sanders is set to speak at 7 p.m., so we're getting closer. And the Democratic presidential candidate was in Santa Barbara and Santa Maria earlier today and is making his last stop this evening right here in Bakersfield. Before the rally, Sanders is planning to meet with about 50 to 100 farm workers at the rally. Sanders is expected to touch on a wide range of issues, including getting big money out of politics, his plan to make public colleges and universities tuition-free, combating climate change, and ensuring universal health care. We'll have a lot more on the rally coming up in our later shows at 10 and 11. And as always, head to our website, bakersfieldnow.com, for the very latest. All eyes are on California in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. Senator Bernie Sanders just wrapped up a rally right here in Bakersfield. Eyewitness News reporter Lexi Otelling was there and tells us more now. Lexi?
Mimi, I got to speak with Sanders one-on-one before the rally began. I talked with him about everything from the drought, Donald Trump, and facing off against Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination. Crowds of people came out to the Kern County Fairgrounds to hear Sanders speak. Earlier today, he was in Santa Barbara, then Santa Maria, and finished the day right here in Bakersfield. He took the stage around 7:30 and addressed issues like universal health care, free tuition for public colleges and universities, and raising the minimum wage. What is the message that you want to bring this evening to the people in Kern County?
The message is that we need an economy that works for everybody, not an economy where the average person works longer hours for lower wages, where so many of our people are living in poverty, and almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%.
I also talked to Sanders about his take on California's drought, as well as his reaction to presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump's recent comment. Now, yesterday in Fresno, Donald Trump said there is no drought. What are your thoughts on the drought?
It's very hard to keep up with Donald Trump. Of course there is a drought. This is not a debatable issue. Of course climate change is real. Of course climate change is already doing devastation all over this state, all over this country, and all over the world.
For more on Sanders' visit to Bakersfield, head to our website at bakersfieldnow.com. In studio, Lexi Otelling, Eyewitness News.
All right, Lexi, thank you. We've got a lot more sights and sounds for you from tonight's campaign rally. Reporter Kyle Harvey was also there and spoke with Sanders. Here's what he saw and heard tonight.
Join me in welcoming our friend to Kern County, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you, Bakersfield. 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
Bernie Sanders is the first politician I've ever seen that I feel like I can genuinely trust.
Democracy means that we want more people to participate in the political process.
He's actually the first candidate ever since I was old enough to vote where I'm excited to vote for someone.
Tons of families here put foot on the table drilling for oil. Where do fossil fuels fit into your vision for America over the next decade?
I understand that people will be impacted. Jobs will be lost by the transformation of our energy system. I have put forward legislation that provides $41 billion to rebuild communities and help workers who might be impacted by that transformation.
On the subject of agriculture, you met with some of the ag labor leaders earlier. What did you have to say to them? This is another huge issue for this county, labor, immigration.
Mostly I listened, and what I heard was pretty sad. I heard about people who are working for very, very low wages.
Would you send troops overseas to continue the fight against ISIS?
What I will do is everything that I can to make sure that our brave men and women in the military are not involved in perpetual warfare in the Middle East. When we get to the White House, we are going to change national priorities.
That was amazing. I've seen him all over the internet, and I just saw him in person. He was 10 feet away from me. I'm so happy.
He covered a lot of things that all of the Kern County people are really, really looking forward to fixing.
Here, I'm 77, and I look around, and guess what? You picked a pretty weird person walking down here to be an example, because I'm definitely not the norm.
To see some of the raw footage of Kyle's interviews with Senator Sanders, you can head to our website, bakersfieldnow.com.
What I will do is everything that I can to see that Donald Trump does not become president of the United States. That's what I will do.
Hundreds of people felt the burn tonight as Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders rallied voters at the Kern County Fairgrounds. Well, people traveled from across the state to see Sanders tonight, who is promising much political change. We have team coverage tonight of the event, starting with 23 ABC's Alicia Patillo, who tells us why he made a stop right here in Kern County. Alicia.
Gracia, we're entering the final primary stretch in less than 2 weeks, and Senator Bernie Sanders is making the state of California his priority as he made a campaign swing right here in Bakersfield. Hundreds of supporters filled the Kern County Fairgrounds to hear the United States Senator with less than 2 weeks away from the primaries. Sanders is going all out, making several stops in California, since the state holds more than 400 delegates. And before Sanders hits the stage to greet many of his supporters, he spoke with 23 ABC one-on-one. He says he decided to make a stop in Bakersfield because there are a lot of agriculture and farm worker issues that are very important to him. He also says he wants to prevent and control pesticides and provide clean drinking water and health care to all.
If you think that it's okay that hundreds of thousands of bright young people in this country cannot afford to go to college, I think you can vote Republican, because I don't think that's a good idea. I believe that we have to ask the wealthiest people, largest corporations, to start paying their fair share of taxes. I think we've got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour, and I think we need to make health care available to all people as a right. That's my view.
Sanders is hoping to win big here in California. He says if he does, he's confident he will have a spot in the Democratic nomination. California voters will take to the polls on June 7th.
Alicia, you actually got to meet Bernie Sanders. What was your impression of him?
You know, Gracie, he was so energetic. He just had a great spirit about him. I read somewhere that, well, he actually said that it was his 20th wedding anniversary. So, you know, he was there.
28th.
Yeah.
He's been with his wife for a long time. So it's very nice of him to come to Kern County.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it was good. It was nice meeting him.
All right, thank you so much, Alicia. And as Alicia spoke with the Senator, Andrew Wirth is in with packed grandstands, finding out why they were so eager to attend the rally.
That's right, Gracie. As Alicia was getting to meet one-on-one with Senator Sanders, I was able to speak to the many in attendance about what they thought of the rally. Hundreds of supporters filed into the grandstands at the Kern County Fairgrounds. Just a day after GOP candidate Donald Trump spoke in Fresno on major issues, Senator Bernie Sanders gave his side just down the road. But some believe that Sanders is a fitting candidate, not just because of his views, but because of the efforts he is making to speak with everyone.
And like I said, I haven't seen too many candidates come out to places like Bakersfield, California, Visalia, Ventura, Santa Barbara, like the senator is. And not since, I think, Robert Kennedy, came to Delano in the 60s have we seen that type of fervor.
It's more than just Hollywood. It's more than just the Bay. We have great agriculture here and everything and stuff. So, it's nice to see that everybody is included and nobody gets, left out.
And as Sanders addressed the large audience, he brought to question many major topics that not only California residents are affected by, but also the thousands that call Kern County home.
Workers are not going to be working in the fields for starvation wages. That I assure. And every American will have access to health care as a right.
But his stance on government in general led to one of the largest reactions of the night.
We need to create a government that works for all Americans, not just the 1%.
Saying the change he wants to see can happen, whether he is elected or not.
I think truth, in no matter what form you present it, is a powerful force.
Change comes when people on the bottom stand up and say, we can't do this anymore. This doesn't work anymore.
He has answers for all these issues. And here in Bakersfield, we're dealing with all these stuff, and his policies kind of, help with that.
And as the California primary draws closer, Sanders says he is doing his best to catch Clinton, while also keeping Donald Trump on his radar.
And we will not allow Donald Trump or anyone else to divide us up.
And after the rally concluded, we were told that he actually went to the Hungry Hunter restaurant where they reached out to 23 ABC and told us that Sanders dined at the restaurant with his Secret Service entourage, calling it one of the best restaurants he's eaten in a while. In studio, Andrew Wirth, 23 ABC.
And before Sanders' big speech, he took some time to meet with local Latino leaders. They talked about education, law enforcement, and immigration. Joey Williams with Faith in Action Kern County says he's behind Sanders' outlook on comprehensive immigration reform.
We just need politicians with the political will to do what's right for the people overall and not play politics with families' lives and being deported and possibly being sent back, maybe to even be killed in another country.
The senator also got together with a group of farm workers to talk about issues that are important to them.
The first thing that he thought about when he was coming to Bakersfield was to meet again with the farm worker community here, and obviously they also care about making sure that that you are protecting their health, that you don't have all these pesticides and a lot of the environment.
Sanders' campaign says immigration reform has been a passion of his since 2008 when he went to Florida to fight for farm workers' rights there.
And Bernie Sanders continued his trip to Kern County today with a stop in Delano. Sanders spoke this afternoon at the enclave known as 40 Acres, the birthplace of the UFW, where co-founder Cesar Chavez started the push for farm worker rights. Some of Cesar Chavez's family members took Sanders on a tour of the historic area. He spoke briefly with media about his opposition to fracking and the importance of clean drinking water, along with his position on immigration reform.
In my view, we need to move as quickly as possible to comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. and we need to end the current deportation policies, which are dividing families. I think we should be uniting families and not dividing families. And if the Congress and the Republicans in Congress refuse to do what they should be doing in terms of comprehensive immigration reform, I will use the executive powers of the White House to do all that I can.
Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders made an unexpected stop in Delano, where he addressed issues facing farm workers while speaking with the family of civil rights activist Cesar Chavez. While in Delano, he visited the historic landmark where Chavez fasted for 25 days in 1968 for the rights of labor workers. Sanders said he came to Bakersfield because he said the challenges farm workers face are important to him.
I want to make sure that people are not getting sick because of exposure to pesticides. I want to make sure that people have clean drinking water. I want to make sure that people have access to health care, and I wanted to learn about those issues. So that's why I'm here.
Sanders' Delano visit came after he spoke to hundreds of supporters at the Kern County Fairgrounds the day before.
Bakersfield has been feeling the burn this weekend, and today Senator Bernie Sanders wrapped up his time in Kern County with a trip to the 40 acres in Delano. Eyewitness News reporter Lexi Telling was there and tells us more. Lexi?
Mimi, Sanders toured the area with members of the Cesar Chavez family and also discussed how he wants to improve the lives of farm workers. On Saturday, Sanders drew in crowds of people for a rally at the Kern County Fairgrounds. And today, before heading out, he stopped by the historic 40 acres in Delano, the first headquarters of the United Farm Workers Labor Union. Along with the Cesar Chavez family, Sanders got a tour of the site. Sanders talked about how there is still a lot to be done to improve the treatment of farm workers. He touched on their low pay, exposure to pesticides, and water that is undrinkable.
Wanted to hear and to learn more about the plight of the farm workers and how we go forward.
Sanders is in Visalia and Fresno this evening. Tell us what you think about Sanders and his visit to Kern County. Head to our Facebook page, Eyewitness News Bakersfield Now. In studio, Lexi Telling, Mimi.